what's up everyone? This is Nick at Stridewise.com, and today I'm going to be taking a very close look at the Captain boot from Thursday Boot Company. So Thursday Boot Company is one of the newest and maybe one of the most talked about boot companies out there right now. It was founded in 2014 by Connor Wilson and Nolan Walsh when they had this problem that I'm sure many of you can relate to, which is that boots are expensive. I mean, good boots are expensive, and cheap boots fall apart really easily, and work boots are often too clunky to take to the office, and fashion boots are often too dainty. So they came up with this idea to create a perfect hybrid of all these different kinds of boots, and to do it at a low markup. So it's a direct-to-consumer company, which helps to cut on costs. And while they offer a really wide variety of boots for men and women now, the Captain boot remains the most popular boot that they offer. So does it stand up to the test? I'm going to find out. So right now there are 8 different kinds of Captain boots. I just got the brown, which is really like a dark brown with like hints of burgundy, which I liked. The leather is 1.8 millimeters thick, which is thinner than you get in like these more workhorse-y boots like Wolverine 1000 Mile, but it is thicker than you'll get in a lot of dress shoes out there, which often have like 1 millimeter thick leather. The leather itself is Thursday chrome, which is very handsome. I'm going to discuss that in the next section. And a really distinguishing feature here is the toe cap here. But these, they're not your dad's work boots. The silhouette has been streamlined with like a sleeker toe box, which makes for a very sensible looking boot, much more sensible than some of like the clunkier work boots out there that also have toe caps. And I really think it's going to work well with like an old t-shirt and jeans, and with slacks, which is definitely something that like the Wolverine 1000 Mile absolutely cannot do. So, you know, it's simple, it's understated, but I really think it does work well in the shoe's favor. It's also worth pointing out these, they got the flat wax laces, the double backed washes. The 360-degree Goodyear welt is really worth emphasizing. Goodyear welts are really widely seen as a great mark of quality with boots. This goes all the way around the vamp, but it's subtle. Again, it's very subtle. It doesn't extend very far from outside the vamp, so it does still let the boot have like a pretty understated appearance while still having that resilience of the Goodyear welt. My favorite thing about these boots though, I gotta say, there were no quality control issues. When they first came out, they had a very popular Kickstarter campaign, and I remember reading about the company and seeing some like wry comments on Reddit with people complaining about certain quality control issues. All I can say about that is that a few years later, I didn't have any problems whatsoever. There were no loose threads, there was no loose grain, there wasn't even any inconsistencies in the leather. It really is remarkably consistent in the color here. So that was a really big plus for the brand. Alright, so let's take a look at this leather. This is Thursday Chrome. So this is a custom developed full hide leather, and it's pretty similar to Horween's Chromexcel. That's a different leather that is made by Horween, and Chromexcel is really well known among boot aficionados because it's just really jam-packed with oils and greases and beef fat and beeswax, which results in this really deep lustrous color. Thursday Chrome is very similar. Horween's recipe is proprietary, so you know we don't really know exactly what goes into it, but it's very clear that Thursday has done something pretty similar with the chrome. And it's also really striking how consistent the leather is. Like for a second when I first got these, I honestly thought I was looking at a top grain boot, because there's really none of the inconsistencies in color that you often get in full grain boots. Even with Chromexcel, that often has inconsistencies in color. This is really, really nice, really handsome leather. Now, you do have to be patient as far as wearing it in, because like some people, you know, they don't like boots that look that clean. These looked really clean when I first got them. But after a couple of weeks, they did start to develop character and light creases. Now, I do need to make it very clear that I've been wearing these exact boots for a really long time. I've really put them through the ringer. I've like trudged around Manhattan in them. I took them to a very lengthy trip to Colombia and really put them through the ringer. So they do have a few scratches. Obviously, there's no boot that's going to be completely immune to that. But honestly, I think the way that these have put up with the damage is really very impressive. I mean, my biggest gripe with Chromexcel is that while it does look really nice and has a really good depth of color, it scratches super easily. The top finish is it's very easy to scratch and easy to damage. These boots, I really was very, very impressed. They didn't get that much damage on them at all. So these hold up. Now, taking care of your leather is pretty simple with Thursdays. A lot of companies try and make it really, really complicated. Thursday has a very simple, easy to follow, GIF-filled guide on their website that anyone can look up. These are the cliff notes. You start off with a clean, dry rag, rub it all over, get rid of dust like that. Then you get some leather balm or leather cream, put it on the rag and work it into all the creases. Now, Thursday recommends Venetian shoe cream, which is a really, really popular shoe cream used on a ton of different kinds of leather. If you want, you could also use something like Sophia's Renovator, which is going to have a similar effect, but it's going to make the shoes a little bit more shiny, if that's what you're after. Once all of the cream has been worked into all the creases, you want to take the rag and like gently wipe it clean, but making sure you leave like a very thin film of the cream on the boot. Buff it with a horsehair brush, leave it to dry for 10 minutes, and you're good to go. It's really pretty simple, and one of the good things about this leather, about Thursday Chrome, is that it is so moist, it's got so many waxes and greases in it, is that it doesn't need conditioning that often. You can probably get away with just conditioning them 2 or 3 times a year, depending on how often you wear them. Alright, so when it comes to the sole, this looks like a day-night sole, but it isn't. Day-night is a rubber that's very popular in a lot of competitors like Allen Edmonds. This is actually Thursday's own proprietary rubber sole, but it really is very, very, very similar. So by that I mean I have worn these all over the city, as I have with Allen Edmonds, and the grip is just about the same. The grip is a really big bonus of these soles. Now I have like a lot of like really expensive shoes that are like 2 or 3 times the cost of these boots, but they have these leather soles which offer absolutely no grip. If you're outside and it's raining, I'm basically in fear of my life every time I go down steps. I don't have that with these shoes. The grip is really, really good. It is true that it doesn't really look quite as classic as these old stacked leather soles, but like, first of all, it is pretty low profile. Like, it's not like you're wearing a commando sole. It doesn't look any different really from the outside. Plus, you get this little smiley face here, which I thought was pretty cool. So that's the outside. There's also, of course, a 360-degree Goodyear welt. So that refers to the method of attaching the sole to the upper. The Goodyear welt is widely seen as the best way to welt a shoe. And the reason for that is, well, there's 2 reasons. One, pretty water resistant, very water resistant actually. And 2 is that it makes it a lot easier to replace the sole. So that means that these boots are going to last a really long time. Once you go through the sole, you don't have to throw them out as you do with like, you know, your sneakers or anything like that. You can just replace the sole if you take them to a cobbler's. Or if you don't like this rubber sole, you're totally free to change out the sole. It's easy. It's a Goodyear welt. That's a really big plus. Some people prefer a 270-degree Goodyear welt. That's one that ends around the heel, down the bottom here. So a lot of guys like that because it provides like a slimmer silhouette around the heel. It's just an aesthetic thing. And that's because honestly, there are a lot of boots out there that like have a really giant welt. I've got some that have like over 1 centimeter extending from the vamp, this massive perimeter to house the welt. And in those situations, like, yeah, I kind of want a 270-degree welt because I don't want it to be that massive all the way around the boot. But Thursday doesn't have that issue. They have a really, really subtle welt. It doesn't extend very far from the perimeter of the boot. So you get the 360-degree welt, which is actually more water resistant than the 270-degree welt without sacrificing any of the fashion. So I thought that was a really big plus. So that's the outsole and the welting. There's also a cork midsole. There's the leather insole as well. And then there's the secret sauce. There is the Dura EVA comfort strip. So that is Thursday's, they're really, really famous for that. It actually is used in a lot of athletic shoes and it provides a lot of extra comfort, a bit of extra bounce, and it really is like one of the coolest things about this boot. So when it's time to order a size, just order a half size down. In my experience, most boot companies run large. I'm between an 11.5 and a 12 on a Brannock device, and most of my boots are an 11, and Thursday's no exception there. I ordered an 11, fit me really well. Now in the world of shoe sizing, there are 6 widths available when it comes to widths. So there's B, C, D, E, double E, and triple E. And Thursday just decided to throw all that out the window. They've just got 2 widths available. There's standard, which is meant to be good for D and E. And there's wide, which is good for double E and triple E. Now Thursday does have a very, very detailed sizing guide on the website, which is meant to offer solutions for people with unusually sized feet. So for example, if you're a C, you may well find success just ordering a half size down. A lot of people have found a good fitting shoe that way. But if, even though this is a direct-to-consumer brand, it's really not such a big deal if you order the wrong size because they have free shipping and returns. So don't sweat too much on the widths. So anyway, that's the fit. When it comes to breaking it in, I was pleasantly surprised the leather did not need breaking in, and the sole did not need breaking in. But one thing that was interesting is that I did honestly find that the midsole and the Dura comfort strip, the Dura EVA comfort strip, did take a few days to mold and conform to the shape of my foot. The very first time I put these on, honestly, it felt a little bit like I was walking on sand, and I wasn't that crazy about it. But you just have to be patient, and everything all works out in the end. After just a few wears, the boot, the shoe and the comfort strip and the cork did indeed mold to the shape of my foot. And after a few days, it just honestly felt like I was walking with leather sneakers in. It really was very, very comfortable, and the comfort is a really big selling point for this brand. They've done something really unique here, and I honestly think they've succeeded. Now, there are a lot of things that I like about these boots. There are two things that I think are like changing the industry in how impressive they are. The first is the comfort that I just mentioned. The second is the cost. On Thursday's official website and on Amazon, these are $199, which, I mean, given the construction and the materials, I would expect them to be well over $300, if not over $400, but they're $199. So I don't really know how they're making a profit at Thursday Boot Company, but I'm very happy with the price, and honestly, this is one of the real standout qualities of this shoe. Alright, so why should you get a pair of Thursday Captain boots? I mean, first of all, the leather really is very good quality. It's all tier 1 leather, and the way that it gets processed into Thursday Chrome really does make for a very rich leather that's very handsome, and it can take a beating. These don't scuff very easily, which I really liked. When it comes to the style, they're super, super versatile shoes. They're very subtle, like they're very understated. They don't have like a big chunky welt or like a really ostentatious like commando sole or anything like that. They're pretty subtle boots, but I really think that works in their favor. They can be worn with a jeans and t-shirt, they can be worn with slacks, and I really think Thursday succeeded in their goal of making a really good hybrid shoe that works in a ton of different situations. Thought that was really great. Then there's the comfort. This Dura EVA comfort strip, I'll confess it did take some getting used to at first, but as the shoe got used to me, as it eventually molded to the shape of my foot, I really did wind up with a pair of boots that almost feel like a pair of leather sneakers. I think Thursday really hit the mark on that one. It's unusual, but it definitely worked. And then finally, there's the price. I can't get over the price. It's $199 for a pair, and I think they're worth that and a lot more. They're very, very inexpensive boots, and in any case, they're free returns. So, I don't think they're a big risk. Now, there are a few things you might not be quite so crazy about with the Thursday Captain boot. Number one, I mean, these are much better than a lot of work boots on the market as far as comfort goes, and style, and price, and versatility, and a bunch of other categories. But these aren't really the kind of boots that are hardy enough to, like, say, go camping in or go hiking in or things like that. They are definitely combination dressy and casual boots. They can take a lot of beating, but that doesn't extend all the way to these being boots you want to take into the forest and fight a bear with and that kind of thing. You do need to rein it in a little bit when you're going outside in them. They aren't clunky work boots, but they look a lot better than those boots. Another thing is that this is a direct-to-consumer company. Now, that has a massive benefit as far as price goes, but the fact is you can't try the shoes on before you buy them. So that can be a little bit frustrating for some folks, especially for people with particularly narrow feet, since the widths are just standard and wide. That said, they do have options for people with different widths of foot. And again, as I mentioned, returns are free, so it's not a massive deal, but that may be seen as a drawback by some consumers. Finally, this is a new company. So by that I mean a lot of people really get excited about looking at pictures of boots that are really, really old to see how they age, to see if they actually live up to the company's promises. There are no 10-year-old Thursday boots out there. Like, there just aren't. So that can cause some people to lose a little bit of confidence. You just have to take it on faith that they're going to age well. But for my money, given the materials and the durability and the construction, I really think these are going to last. So those are my thoughts on the Captain boot from Thursday Boot Company. The full written review is in the description below, and make sure you subscribe. We've got a ton more boot reviews coming up.